So, hello everyone.
Hello everyone.
Oh,
So, I hope that everyone is doing well during this situation. One of the things we are doing now is special guest, and tonight we have Element X. So, I'm just passing the microphone to Element X so they can tell them more about themselves.
Cool. My name is Dave. I'm the lead vocalist for Element X. I'm summer over 30. I'm currently enjoying a nice whiskey. And for some reason, I just noticed a flag behind me, followed by a Manchester United scarf. And I'm enjoying isolation strangely.
Right, guys, here is Rodrigo. I'm the drummer and the backing vocals, and I'm just drinking like a frat boy. Yeah, it's the life, the drummer. Nobody cares. I enjoy to bang things and just yell at people. So that's my job.
I'm Hugo. I'm bass player. I'm backing vocals as well, the real one. And like I said, I made a stupid bet and I cannot drink today, so I'm very upset, but I'll be very happy tomorrow.
Hugo, I can't remember the last time I've talked to you like this way whilst you're sober. So it's like...
Today.
Today. It'll be a different story. It's in the weekend, ever.
Yeah, so you'll be able to answer all the difficult questions and you will know what happens, and like the rest of the band will be like, what? So, yeah. That's a positive thing. So how's the situation?
For me personally, it hasn't been too bad. It's like I'm not working from home at the moment. I'm on temporary layoff from my job. I'm working in a tourist office in town. And it's grand. I'm using the time to, improve bits and pieces. Like I'm working on my vocals, working on my fitness. Just finished college recently, which gives us a lot more time to do all those stuff. So it's just preparing for when we get back to normality, really. That's
so if you are back, there will be a better voice, better Element X.
I hope so. That's the intention anyway.
So Hugo and Rodrigo, you are also improving your skills?
Every day. Practicing and writing and trying to just, on a personal level, being locked is not so bad, but on the band level it's just kind of hard because we cannot, we were writing before and now we're struggling. Having to write separately is a bit more difficult than it is in person, but we are trying to get better anyway.
Yeah, for me it's a tough situation because it's like I don't have a drum kit at home. I don't even have an electric drum kit or something, so I cannot practice. I just try to do some air drumming most of the time. So it's a little bit shit. I really, really, really miss playing drums right now. But just trying to get ideas for the band, and just that is like, I just want to go back to be a normal band. For me, work is fine. I'm working from home. I just work as a web developer, so for me it's fine. I can just do the same work as in the office as here, so I'm not getting any struggle. But for me, the only tough part is missing the band, missing the drums, missing just that, missing the guys.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Don't miss you.
I can't believe you actually said you miss me.
I miss the band, not you.
Of course.
Okay, that makes sense.
But in the end, if you are back, you are relaxed, and the rest has worked and stuff, so you'll be fit to drum again, hopefully.
I hope so. But one thing what that Hugo mentioned that is really true is that we were in a really good moment when this happened. We were actually writing a lot of new material. We were getting ready a couple of songs. So this actually broke the momentum. We had a couple of gigs as well out of Dublin. And when this happened, we all had to cancel them. So
yeah, we were due to play in the likes of Letterkenny and places like that, and stuff like that. But we're trying. I think in a way we're still trying to make up for as much as we can, in terms of certainly our songwriting. I, for one, I'm trying to use the MIDI software to write songs to present to the lads, and it's not much, but it's the best we can do for now.
But the Birmingham still goes ahead, or you are not going overseas anymore due to this situation?
Well, we don't know. We don't know. The thing is that that gig is still in August, I think, if I remember well,
Yes.
at the end of August. So we haven't heard that is cancelled, but we haven't heard any news. So
But the way things are looking now is leaning more towards a no than going, unfortunately.
Plus, because it's in the UK, we don't know what their situation is, and it's obviously their situation is far worse than ours with this, with the how they're dealing with the pandemic. So it's really hard to predict. Like as it stands, it's still on, but that's all we know at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, it's like a pity. Like if you had, like you said, you had the opportunities and so on. It's like poof, gone.
On the other hand, for example, the gig from in Letterkenny, I think it was in Drogheda, Dundalk.
Yeah.
Drogheda or Dundalk?
It was one of them, I think. Maybe it was Dundalk. I'm not sure.
One of
like
those.
Such a blur.
Exactly, one of those gigs. I think it was in Dundalk. Pretty sure. It is going to be rescheduled, so it's not cancelled. They already told us that they are looking for a new date. So we will be there soon. We actually wanted to go there because this is the second time that we are trying to go to that city. So this is the third attempt, let's say.
Beautiful city. So if you go there, you can visit it. It's amazing there.
Something to look forward to anyway, that's for sure. Because like that's the thing. Like I've noticed a few different gigs have been pushed further as well. Like so, hopefully that'll be the case for us. But as it stands, we don't know a date yet. So, but all we know is that it's rescheduled, and we'll see what the story is from there.
Yep.
Yeah. So, guys, in the band you have the mixed band. You have 2 Spanish, 1 Italian, if I'm right.
Right?
Yep. And Irish people. So, how guys you met?
Well, the band originally started, I think, when Ian and our first lead guitarist, Cormac, who've been friends for many years, they got together, and then they met Rodrigo, and who was the original drummer. You can take it from there.
They were actually both of them, Ian and Cormac, were from a different band. They were already in a different band, and I'm not sure if the band dissolved or they just wanted to go in a different path. But it's just that is they started looking for band members. So I contact them via internet. I don't remember if it was in adverts or Comtree or somewhere. And from the first day that we met, it was like, yeah, like I said, I really like you guys and the idea of the band that we have. I really like it. And they said like, yeah, the drummer, you are what we are looking for. So we started moving from there, the three of us, and then we found Dave doing some auditions for singers. And Dave, you can take it from there.
Well, I think I joined from, I saw the ad from adverts as well, or one of those advertisements, and I was just looking to join the band. Like the Element X is still my first band to the States compared to the rest of the lads who've been in many bands before here and in their home countries as well. So for me, it was like, wow, I'm in a band. So I'm auditioning for a band, and at the time it was shocking, and I've improved obviously ever since. But like you learn as you go along, and you know, and so on and so forth. And then later on, obviously, Sean joined as our first bass player, and then then it was Sean, but then Sean left, and then that's when Hugo came in.
Yeah, it was about 4 years ago maybe, and I just used to play in a thrash band. They used to always gig with the guys, you know, so we kind of met there, and I started following this guy, and he's Spanish, and we kind of got friends. I don't want to say friends, but you know, I don't want to get his hopes up. But
drink buddy.
Yeah, then Sean left, and they called me, invited me to join the band, and I just took the job.
Yeah, and then Franco. Yeah, and then Franco is, believe it or not, our fifth lead guitarist. Like, unfortunately, we seem to be like a bit of a Spinal Tap situation when it comes to lead guitarists, where and it's not for any bad reasons. It's just for unforeseen circumstances. Like all the guys before had to leave. Like Like original guy Cormac, he had he had some sort of breathing difficulties in the past, I think, and he was eventually too unhealthy to continue, which was a shame because he's a very nice guy and a great player. And then we had Ate, who was from Finland, again another great guitarist, where he went home to finish his studies. Then Liam, who is part of Creep, if you've ever seen those guys before, he was basically divided between the two bands, and it was just a case where he didn't have time for both, and that's understandable. And then Ivan, who was also from Italy, came in, but again he had to go home. But Ivan introduced us to Franco, who is now our lead guitarist and longest serving one so far. No, but so far, by
The last one. He's the last one. We don't want any other.
Yeah, please.
We're done on filling that position. He's him, and that's it.
Yeah. But it's been awesome ever since then.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So Dave, you have been to many concerts like Insomnium, Testament, Grand Magnus recently. So how is it to be in the band and watching a band? And do you draw any inspirations from the gigs you attend?
Of course, like I think it's really cool to try and see what other bands, because it's one thing to see them online, but it's another thing to see them live, because you don't gather that atmosphere, you don't appreciate it as much, one could argue. So of course, like Insomnium are one of my favorite bands. In terms of like how they influence me as a musician, I just enjoy them. But if I see some things that I take from them, it's obviously really good. Grand Magnus, I really enjoy their vocalist. He doesn't use a very high range. He uses more of a what would be the words? More of a baritone to a bassy sort of voice, which I think is really cool because you don't see that too often in metal music.
Yeah, that was like a cool gig, like Grand, like in Grand. So yeah.
Yeah, it was the last before the lockdown.
Yeah. Before everything blew up, like boom.
Yeah. Well, the rest of the lads would see their gigs as well. Like you two are fans of Allbeats, for example. You went to that gig.
Well, yeah, that was so long ago. I can't even remember the last time I went to a gig. The fucking lockdown,
Did you went to Volbeat in September this year or earlier on?
I think the last two times they were in Dublin, right? We went.
I don't know. I went only in September. Like that was the time I was in Dublin.
I think they were.
I think
Olympia.
Yeah, Olympia. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I can't remember what time it was before that. I think maybe a year before that. But it's such a great band to see live. Like really,
it was
amazing.
It was. Remember, because no, is like we actually love that band. It is one of our biggest influences in the band. Not the biggest, but is one big one. And we really loved the first time that we went to see them. As Hugo said, we went twice. So the first time was amazing, was incredible. But the second time it was good, but it was not the same. We don't like the way that the band is going in the last album. But this is the kind of thing is that you love that band so much that we are like, okay, this is just going to be like one stone in the middle of the path. No worries, they are going to come back. We are going to not give hope on them. They are going to go back. So yeah, if they come back again, we are going to go again. But the last time it was not the same as the first time.
Yeah, I agree. Like Beyond Heaven and Hell was really good. Like Counting the Assholes in the Room, and then the new albums with kids, it was weird and so on. It seems for me that they are going like more commercial. But the funny thing is that their main inspiration is Johnny Cash. Like they said many times Johnny Cash, and I'm like, what? Like they had 3 influences, and now they're like all Johnny Cash. It's quite.
You look at their singer though; he does have a bit of Johnny Cash to him with the haircut and the microphone, and the way he holds his guitar.
Yeah.
Hugo and myself, we were saying that maybe it's just a theory. I'm not a musical expert or anything, but we have a theory that is that the singer just got married and got kids, so maybe he was more into the love with the kids or something, so wanted
Maybe
to go
that's
more.
It's more like inspirational muse kind of changed, you know. So kind of changed the way he writes music now.
Yeah, time will tell. Like we'll see
Yeah.
what the next Volbeat album is.
It happens to a lot of musicians though over time. I think though as well, where you know they could become more settled and they get families, and all of a sudden they develop new tastes and they try it in their music. So for better or worse.
Yeah.
So Metallica, a great example.
Yeah. So as we speak about influences, as Rodrigo said, let's yes, tell me your influences. Let's start from Hugo.
I don't know, Maiden, Motorhead, Dio. There's Metallica, obviously early Metallica. There's just so many. Thin Lizzy, Def Leppard. It's just too many of the new wave of British heavy metal bands or thrash metal. Like I said, I used to play thrash, so.
Here in Dublin?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So you know, a lot of that kind of now go. I listen to a lot of blues as well, so I really like blues. So it's a big mixture.
Dave?
For me, I've become such a big fan of Dio, not just because of his anniversary, unfortunately, but like I've just listened to a lot of his songs. I listened to the full Holy Diver album the other day, and I thought, fucking hell, he's so fucking good.
Yes.
So I've really become a lot more influenced in him. But obviously, I have to look at guys like Rob Halford from Judas Priest, James Hetfield, obviously from Metallica, Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, guys who I look up to as well. So, you know, for me, not only were they very good singers, but they were fantastic frontmen as well in their own right. They had that sort of style. They knew how to talk to the crowds, knew how to interact. And for me, they're very valuable people to look up to as well.
And Rodrigo, you told about Volbeat, so anything else?
Yeah, no, like I'm kind of really special in that way, or I think compared with those guys that you can hear some main genre where they focus on what they listen to, but I listen everything. Like for example, I don't know, this morning I was just listening to the Pirates of Caribbean soundtrack. Okay. The other day I was listening to Pendulum. One of my favorite bands is Pendulum. Is a band that plays drum and bass mixed with rock. So it's a weird mix, but it's like mainly more like a dance electronic music. Okay. But then, as we said, I love Volbeat. I really like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I listen to everything. I kind of listen to many things. I was listening the other day to a band that I was really into. It was a Finnish band. I don't even remember the name. That it was like very indie minimal thing, because it was just two guys. Is a singer and a drummer or something like that. And it's kind of indie, that kind of new wave. I don't know. I'm very open-minded about music, so I can just listen to everything. But then is something, when I listen to something, is either I love it or I hate it. So it's weird. But then, for example, is to get in more into the band, is I have two main influences for the way I play. That is that for the drummer, for the drumming side is everyone says that I play well. Everyone and I feel like I always learn playing very Red Hot Chili Peppers style, like Chad Smith style. So it's not just the way that he plays, but also the funky style putting into rock. I really like that. And on the backing vocals, I'm very Bad Religion style. I really like those melodic backing vocals, but that are always there doing something, trying to get something else to the main vocal.
Okay.
You gotta love some cheesy pop now and then as well. once it's catchy.
I'm not going to deny that I have my guilty pleasures sometimes.
Yes.
I'm not going to tell you which ones are.
I prefer to call them innocent pleasures. Why be ashamed of them?
I'm not ashamed. I told you I play. Yeah, like I listen to you. That is a really guilty pleasure.
Oh, I say so. Especially from that record.
Interesting stuff. So that's like a long list. good stuff like Twisted Sister and so on, like a lot of names we know. So back to Element X now. So you won the favorite vote during a Metal to the Masses in Fevers 2 years ago. So what was the feeling then, and did it have like an impact on the band?
Of course, it was really significant for us to get that far in the competition, because at the time we didn't have any expectations about how far we'd go. We just thought, let's just give it a go, let's see what happens. And to get the reception we had, not just from the crowd vote as you mentioned, but on a different occasion we got the judges' votes on that same year as well to progress to the final. And we didn't win it, but it was a fantastic experience. Like, you know, plus those types of gigs are one of the better gigs you'd find in Fibbers in particular, because you know the crowds are really, really engaged in all the different bands they're playing. They have like a hunger for like the local metal, which, you know, I'm not saying Fibbers doesn't have that all the time, but certainly for that particular gig, it just feels different.
Yeah, and did it open like any new opportunities for the band?
Not really opportunities, but it gave us a really a big push on the self-esteem. So like we were doing this because we love it. Is we never got, at least myself, is I never got into music because it's like, yeah, this is the way that I'm going to get rich or whatever. No, it was like, I love playing. Even if it's in front of 2 people or even it's in front of 50,000 people. So that not winning, but getting to the final of that, and all the reaction of the people, it gave us a really good push of self-esteem of it's like, look, we are not the only ones that really enjoys the Element X style. There are more people that really enjoys this, and we are doing something that people likes it. It's not just like a background noise. It's people is really enjoying it and getting into this music. So it was a push into our self-confidence of let's do more.
It wasn't just making new fans either. It was being respected by our peers as well, which I think is as valuable as anything that you get from playing gigs. Let's say when your fellow bands, let's say they were competing in these competitions, were showing your love there as well. For me, that's as high as an achievement I could ever ask for, being a member of this band. When someone comes up to you and say how awesome that gig was, for me, there's no better feeling.
I can imagine like that from my side. I always, like, if the band is good, I try to support it for this reason, like you mentioned, like self-esteem and so on. So yeah, that's kind of cool perspective.
So last year, Dave, you released a new EP with 5 songs, All or Nothing. And what do you think, you know, after this situation with COVID, are you going to release an album?
We're talking about a new release. We don't know what it's going to be yet. You know, we don't know what's going to happen with music now. So everything's changing all the time. So it's like, yeah, we have songs, but maybe we release them, I don't know, maybe one by one, maybe, you know, another EP. We're not sure yet.
We certainly have the ambition to record again, that's for sure. Like as the lads mentioned, like we have a few songs that we were working on before we weren't able to rehearse them further like we did before. But as I said, we're continuing to work on our instruments, like, you know, or try and write new songs. Like, you know, Hugo's trying to write some songs. He showed us some riffs the other day, and I try and present ideas for some songs as well. Now, I don't have the advantage of playing an instrument like the lads do, but I try to make up with it with MIDI software. But at the same time, like, you know, we're trying to always try and build new music that we can possibly develop to a possible song, and if it's good enough, then maybe record it and go from there.
Yeah, because now the situation is really tough for all the bands.
Like the way I see it, it's just let's prepare for normality, like, if that makes sense. Where
normality.
Yeah. So where like obviously now it's not an easy situation. Like we're gonna have to adjust and adapt for it. Like, and so let's try and do what we can now, and that way when we get back, we have all this material that we could be working with then. So like for me, that's it's a good thing to do now whilst we have the time.
Now that you say that a new normality is, I saw the other day on the news that was some gig of K-pop, a K-pop band in there in Korea or in Japan, and it was like people from the cars, so cars all over the place, and the guys singing and dancing on the exactly. So it's like, can you imagine that on Fevers in here in Dublin?
No.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, because our music is most, we don't know when we're going to be able to play again. And that's where we really sell our music. We don't have a big, we are on the streaming platform, but we don't have a big follower on that. So we don't know when we're going to be able to play again. So that's kind of scary.
Yes.
It's a word to say.
But like, as I said, like for me, it's always important to prepare until whenever it is, even if it's next month or in 3 months, whatever. Like, so at least that way we'll be back and we'll be better than ever then.
You're involved with Put the Metal on. So how did it all start that you become involved with the radio show? And are there any challenges or positive aspects of promoting the Irish scene with regard to your own band Element X?
Well, I was working in Near FM, the radio station, years ago. It was around the same time I joined Element X. And around the time I started college, then I just started the show and thought, no, it's something to do different. And it was never with the intention of doing something alternative or whatever like that. It was just for fun. And, it's great fun. I mean, I'm becoming more and more of a fan of different Irish bands as a result, because you discover more by looking for all these bands to play. And it doesn't really, like for me, it also broadens your interest and also educates myself on, let's say, how, you get other perspective on how bands would deal with, let's say, PR situations, for example. Like, I'm not saying we have to do it like them, but certainly gives us an idea of what we could do, like, if that makes any sense. So it's cool in that sense. Like, as far as, let's say, if I was playing an Element X song on the show, I just treat us like any other band. I wouldn't want to give us like any superiority, if that makes sense, because I wasn't sure if that would be fair. Like, but at the same time, it's always a pleasure to play Element X when I get the chance to. Like, so for me, it's awesome. But for me, that's just something and the side that I enjoy doing, like, but it's really cool, as I said, because it gives you a cool perspective of, and it gives you and educates a lot more, for me anyway, of the scene in Ireland. And it really is a really good scene that we have here, not just in Dublin, but in the likes of Cork and Belfast as well. There's really good bands out there.
So it's like you said, you mentioned earlier with the gigs and so on, it's like same angle, like learning experience, discover something new and so on.
That's it. And it's amazing. Like, before I started the show, I wasn't really into too many other subgenres of metal, but since then I've become a really big fan of like death metal and black metal and stuff like that. It's like, because I'm really impressed by how complex the music is and stuff like that. So, like, I didn't know what I was missing until then. So for me, it's awesome.
So maybe one day Element X will have some death metal.
Oh, no.
Well, don't know about that now. No, I wouldn't encourage that either. Like, so
not as long as I'm a drummer.
No, we'll stick to heavy metal and hard rock. So that's our style. And so
we just keep it to that. No change. No. Different project.
No, I don't think the lads would allow me to growl or shout or anything like that as the vocals. I don't think
not that far we wouldn't go.
No.
I will keep it to it. I will remind you when the day comes that you growl. I'm like, well, no.
Yeah, but the moment that happens, I think I'll get a kick in the arse from these two. So.
Cool. So guys, who came up with the idea for the name Element X?
Well, to be honest, it was not just one idea. Element X is just the meaning of what the first question that it was in here, that it was the influences, the styles. Element X is just that, is we have we are coming from different backgrounds. We listen to different music. We are not the band that is like, oh, we all listen to this band or we just listen to this style. No, we are different bands, different listen to different bands, different styles. So that's why we came up with the name of Element X. We are that mix of everything, and it's just the sometimes we say that is just that is that the element is the element X that put it all together. Is that X in the middle of all of them putting in the middle.
It's
So
science gone wrong, but somehow it turned out right.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
hit the spots. The old expression, X marks the spots.
That's like a cool history. I never considered that. Like every time I Google like element X, like weird stuff came up. But now, if you say the name and so on, it makes so much sense why go for this name.
Just that it is, you put in a map all the genres and the styles that we play, and that middle point in the middle, that point in the middle that all of them converge, that is the element X. That is the X point.
X.
Yeah, it's like perfect, the X and so on. Like you see in
like
the
Dave
background.
says, where the treasure is. So.
Yeah. Played alongside that label and Chris Holmes. So how did the collaboration like start, and what was the experience like?
We played with that label. I think this was shortly after that Metal to the Masses competition. So it was like a